You probably heard US politicians claim that slapping tariffs will magically fix America's trade deficit.
We'll put up the tariff wall, we'll collect a lot of money.
It's going to reduce the deficit and balance the budget of the United States of America.
Sounds like a silver bullet, right? But here's a quick reality check.
During Trump's first term, tariffs were all the rage. Yet the US trade deficit ballooned from $481 billion in 2016 to $679 billion in 2020.
Wait a minute. When tariffs supposed to reduce demands for foreign goods and so shrink the pesky deficit?
Well, first off, when the US imposes tariffs on imports from one country, US companies often turn to other countries to fulfill the same demand. US blocking steel from the EU, Canada and Mexico? Well, Brazil and South Korea would happily fill the gap. At least there was a case in 2018. So, imports don't really disappear. And it doesn't stop there. Tariffs often backfire, triggering retaliation that hits your exports too. Take Trump's steel and aluminum tariffs in his first term, for example. US company Harley-Davidson failed this sting when the EU hit back with tariffs on motorcycles. The result? Harley's European sales took a dive. Moreover, higher costs for imported materials can make our own products more expensive and less competitive in the export market.
The metals tariffs took about $1 billion of profit from us.
Next up, when the US raises tariffs on another country's goods, it reduces demand for those goods, but also demand for that country's currency. As a result, the foreign country's currency weakens, while the dollar strengthens. Sounds nice, right? Except that when the dollar gets stronger, US exports become more expensive and less competitive. So, congratulations, you've just made your products pricier abroad. A tax on imports ends up as a tax on exports.
At this point, you probably already realize that tariffs aren't the magic fix for the trade deficit. So, what's the real problem?
Well, the overall trade imbalance isn't really determined by bilateral trade imbalances. It's fundamentally about what a country produces versus what it consumes. And here's the kicker. The US consumes way more than it produces. And who's been leading the charge in overspending? Well, the US government.
So, instead of looking outward for solutions, maybe it's time to take a good long look in the mirror.